Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The air in Drew Cain's hospital room felt thick, heavy, suffocating. Machines beeped softly in the background, monitoring a man who had once commanded rooms, corporations, and even Congress with quiet authority. Now he lay motionless, his body stiff from the stroke that had robbed him of movement but not awareness. His eyes flickered, and he listened. Outside the door, footsteps echoed, determined, confident, calculated. Willow Cain entered the room like she owned it. She paused at the doorway for a moment, studying her husband's still form. For anyone else, it would have been heartbreaking, the once powerful congressman reduced to silence. But Willow wasn't heartbroken. She was thinking. "Can you hear me?" she asked softly, stepping closer to the bed. Drew's eyes shifted ever so slightly. That was enough. A slow smile curved Willow's lips. "You probably can't respond," she continued gently, almost mockingly sweet, "but that's okay, I'll do the talking." Her voice lowered. "You remember Gents Sidwell, don't you?" If Drew could have tensed, he would have. Earlier that week, in a private conversation that changed everything, Gents Sidwell had leaned back in his chair, studying Willow with the kind of sharp calculation only powerful men possess. "You should replace him," Sidwell had said. Willow had blinked. "Replace Drew." "In Congress," Sidwell clarified smoothly, "your husband can't finish his term, the governor will appoint someone, why not you?" At first she had looked stunned. But that feeling hadn't lasted long. Now standing beside Drew's hospital bed, Willow whispered, "They want me to take your seat." Her hand brushed the edge of the blanket. "You see, Drew, you can't exactly represent Port Charles from a hospital bed." Drew's eyes widened. Willow noticed. "Oh, you understand," she murmured. "Good." Across town at the mayor's office, Laura Collins was packing. The weight of the situation pressed down on her shoulders. Drew Cain's incapacitation had left a vacuum, and vacuums in politics never stayed empty for long. She had already met with Alexis Davis. "I think you should take the seat," Laura had told her firmly. Alexis had blinked in disbelief. "Me, Laura, I just got my law license back." "You're respected, experienced, you care about this city," Laura insisted. "The governor needs a recommendation." What Laura hadn't mentioned, what she couldn't, was Gents Sidwell. Because Sidwell wasn't just a political donor. He was leverage. And he had it over hers. Professor Henry Hank Dalton's. That name alone made Laura's stomach twist. Sidwell had dirt, information about Dalton that could destroy reputations, unravel alliances, and put Laura's integrity under scrutiny. He hadn't played his card yet. But he would. Back at the hospital, Willow pulled a chair closer to Drew's bed and sat. "You worked so hard for that seat," she said softly. "Campaigning, debates, fundraisers." She leaned closer. "But you're not the only ambitious one in this marriage." There it was. The truth. Willow had never been satisfied just standing beside power. She wanted it. Needed it. And when she made the decision to drug Drew and orchestrate the stroke narrative, when she decided to take control of his assets and connections, she had told herself it was for the children. For a better life. For stability. But now it felt bigger. Congresswoman Cain. The title rolled beautifully in her mind. "I'd do a better job than you ever did," she whispered. A tear slipped from the corner of Drew's eye. Willow watched it. And smiled. Across town, Nina Reeves sat across from her daughter, studying her carefully. "You deserve more," Nina had said during their private conversation. "I'm not sure I'm ready for something like that," Willow had replied at the time. But Nina leaned forward. "You've always been underestimated, first as a teacher, then as a wife. Now is your chance to step into something bigger." Those words echoed in Willow's head now. Bigger, stronger, untouchable. Back at the mayor's office, Laura's phone buzzed. Her expression tightened when she saw the name. "Gents Sidwell." She hesitated, then answered. "Laura." "Mayor Collins," Sidwell greeted smoothly, "I hear you've been speaking with Alexis Davis." Laura's spine stiffened. I've been exploring options. I have a better one, Sidwell replied calmly, Willow Cain's. Laura's heart skipped. She's not qualified. She's connected, Sidwell cut in. She has Drew's name, his donors, his sympathy. Laura exhaled slowly. And if I refuse? A pause. Then, I would hate for certain information about Professor Dalton to find its way into the wrong hands. There it was. The threat. Clear. Unapologetic. Laura's silence stretched. You're asking me to compromise my integrity. I'm asking you to be practical. The line went dead. Laura stared at her phone. She had no choice. Back in the hospital room, Willow stood. I'll be back soon, she told Drew. I have meetings. She leaned down close to his ear. And on February 19, I think I'll have very good news. Drew's eyes burned with helpless rage. Willow straightened, composed herself and walked out, already imagining the press conference, the applause, the power shift. She didn't notice the nurse in the hallway watching her carefully. And she certainly didn't realize that the deeper she stepped into Sidwell's world, the harder it would be to climb back out. The governor's office was waiting for a name. And Laura Collins had run out of time. She sat behind her desk, staring at two folders. Alexis Davis. Willow Cain's. One represented experience, stability, and independence. The other represented influence and control. Sidwell's control. Laura closed her eyes briefly. Then she picked up the phones. Meanwhile, Willow stood in front of Drew's mirror at home, adjusting her blazer. The look was deliberate, strong, polished. She practiced a smile. Not too warm. Not too cold. Powerful. Her phone buzzed. Laura's name flashed on the screen. Willow answered immediately. Yes. A pause. Then Laura's controlled voice. I've recommended your name to the governors. For a split second, Willow couldn't breathe. Then the smile spread. Thank you, Mayor. After she hung up, Willow didn't rush to celebrate. No, she went straight to the hospital. Drew was awake, alert, furious. She walked in confidently. I have news, she said brightly. His eyes locked onto hers. The governor is considering me for your seat. Silence filled the room. I'm going to be Congresswoman Cain's. If Drew could speak, he would have exploded. Instead, his jaw trembled with suppressed rage. You should be proud, Willow continued coolly. Your legacy continues. A tear slid down Drew's cheek again. Willow leaned closer. You built the platform, I'm just stepping into it. She studied his eyes. I did what I had to do. There was no guilt. No hesitation. Just ambition. But what Willow didn't understand was that Sidwell wasn't giving her power. He was lending it. And loans from men like him always came due. Later that evening, Sidwell stood by his window overlooking Port Charles. His assistant approached quietly. Mayor Collins complied. Sidwell smirked. And Mrs. Cain. She's already celebrating. Sidwell chuckled. Good. Because Willow believed she was outsmarting everyone. But she had no idea she was becoming his pawn. Back at the hospital, Drew stared at the ceiling long after Willow left. He couldn't move. Couldn't speak. But his mind was sharp. And he understood something Willow didn't. Sidwell always wins. For now. General Hospital's power landscape was shifting. Laura had compromised herself. Alexis had been sidelined. Willow had crossed a line she could never uncross. And Drew. He was trapped inside his own body, forced to watch the woman he once trusted destroy everything. Willow stepped outside the hospital into the cool night air. She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. Congresswoman Cain. It was happening. She had money. She had connections. She had sympathy on her side. She believed she had control. But somewhere in the shadows, consequences were forming. Sidwell would expect loyalty. Laura would eventually regret her decision. And Drew, if he ever found a way to communicate the truth, Willow's entire world would implode. For now, though, she smiled into the darkness, because she thought she had won. But in Port Charles, victories built on deception never last. And the higher you climb, the harder you fall.